Did you know there's an island somewhere in the world where men aren't allowed? And not just any men, mind you, but all men. Whether married, single, or with kids, none are permitted to set foot on this sacred land. And it's been this way for over 1,000 years. You might think the reason behind this odd rule is obvious. After all, we've seen similar restrictions in places like the Vatican. But what if I told you that this mysterious island was actually tucked away in Greece? Here, cut off from the rest of the world, lies a place where time seems to have stood still. What secrets does this hidden gem hold? And why are men forbidden from entering this isolated Greek paradise? Join us as we explore the intriguing history of Mount Athos and uncover the surprising truth behind its ancient traditions. To truly appreciate this enigmatic place, we must first learn about its geographical location. Mount Athos is situated in northeastern Greece, nestled between the Aegean Sea and the mountainous terrain of the country's mainland. It forms a peninsula that stretches out like a finger pointing towards the horizon. The tip of this peninsula is marked by the presence of two small communities, the monastic republic of Mount Athos and the small town of Oranoupoli. Despite being geographically close, these two entities are worlds apart in terms of their history and significance. While Oranoupoli is a bustling town with a rich history dating back to ancient times, Mount Athos remains shrouded in mystery and intrigue. The monastery located here is one of the most important Orthodox Christian sites in the world and has been occupied continuously since the 8th century AD. This makes it the oldest inhabited monastery in the world. Throughout history, it has played a pivotal role in preserving ancient texts and artifacts, many of which are now housed in museums around the world. However, what sets Mount Athos apart from other monasteries is its unique rule prohibiting all women from entering its premises, including those working in professions related to tourism. Even female animals such as horses or cows are not permitted on the grounds. Although there have been exceptions made for some high-profile female visitors, like Queen Elizabeth II during her visit to Greece in 1984, these instances are rare and require special permission. As you can imagine, when news broke that men had been banned from this mystical place for over 1,000 years, people were shocked. It seemed unbelievable that such a tradition could exist in modern times. But upon further investigation, they discovered that this ancient custom wasn't as bizarre as it first appeared. In fact, Mount Athos had been established as a self-governing state in 803 AD by Byzantine Emperor Nikephoros Thamur. Since then, it has remained independent from both Greece and Russia, who are technically its neighbors. As a result, Mount Athos operates under its own laws and regulations, making it a truly unique and secluded community. Another fascinating aspect of Mount Athos is its rich biodiversity. The peninsula is home to a variety of plant and animal species, many of which are endangered or rare. Its forests are home to centuries-old olive trees and vineyards, while its coastal waters are teeming with marine life. This natural beauty has made Mount Athos a popular destination for nature lovers and researchers alike. But perhaps the most intriguing aspect of Mount Athos is its history. The peninsula has been inhabited by monks since the 8th century AD, and it quickly became a center of religious learning and scholarship. Over the centuries, it has played an important role in preserving ancient texts and artifacts, many of which would have otherwise been lost to history. During the Ottoman occupation of Greece, Mount Athos provided refuge to those fleeing persecution, and it continued to thrive as a center of intellectual and spiritual activity. Today, Mount Athos is a popular destination for pilgrims and tourists alike, who come to experience its unique atmosphere and learn about its rich history. Despite its remote location and strict rules, Mount Athos remains an important part of Greece and its culture. So what exactly is the reason behind the ban on men and women? To understand this perplexing prohibition, we must travel back in time to the early days of Christianity when the Eastern Roman Empire, also known as the Byzantine Empire, was crumbling under the weight of external pressures. During this tumultuous period, the empire faced numerous threats from neighboring civilizations such as the Persians, Arabs, and Bulgarians. These invasions caused widespread destruction and instability, leaving the people of the Eastern Roman Empire desperate for a glimmer of hope. Amidst this bleak landscape, a new faith emerged that offered solace and guidance to the masses. This new religion, known as Christianity, promised salvation and eternal life, attracting the attention of millions who sought refuge from the turmoil of their everyday lives. As more and more people converted to Christianity, it became necessary to establish centers where they could practice their newfound faith without fear of persecution. Thus began the establishment of monasteries, isolated communities where monks could retreat and devote themselves entirely to prayer and study. One such monastery was built on the easternmost tip of Greece, on a peninsula jutting into the sea. This secluded spot, known as Mount Athos, became home to a small group of monks who lived a life of solitude and contemplation. Their days were filled with prayer and meditation as they sought to connect with God and find inner peace. The seclusion of their location allowed them to focus on their spiritual practices without distractions from the outside world. They dedicated themselves to studying ancient texts, copying manuscripts, and preserving knowledge from the Greco-Roman world. These monks were not just seeking to escape the chaos of their time, but also to preserve the cultural heritage of the Eastern Roman Empire. As the empire crumbled and invaders pillaged the land, these monks remained committed to their mission. They copied ancient texts, translated them into other languages, and hid them in secret locations, ensuring that they would survive the onslaught. It didn't take long for word to spread about the sanctity of this place, and soon pilgrims started making their way there to seek solace and guidance. The monks welcomed them, offering food and shelter in exchange for their help in copying manuscripts and other tasks. Over time, the number of monks grew, and the monastery became an important center for religious learning and scholarship. This was the beginning of a legacy that would last for centuries. The monks of Mount Athos continued to thrive even when the Ottoman Empire invaded Greece in the 1400s. They were able to maintain their independence by paying tribute to the Ottomans and agreeing not to convert anyone outside of Christianity to their faith. They also adopted a policy of celibacy for new recruits, meaning that only men who were already monks could join them. This ensured that women would be kept away from the monastery and prevented any potential conflicts with the outside world. During this time, the monks continued their work of preserving ancient texts and artifacts, ensuring that they would be passed down to future generations. They also developed their own unique style of worship and prayer, which differed slightly from the practices of other Christian monasteries. As the years went by, Mount Athos became known as a place where men were forbidden. Women were not allowed to enter the premises, not even animals like horses or cows. This rule may seem strange to us today, but it made sense at the time given the turbulent history of Greece and the desire to keep the monastery safe and free from distractions. However, in recent times, some high-profile women have been granted access to Mount Athos. For example, in 1984, Queen Elizabeth II became the first British monarch to visit the monastery in 72 years. Despite the strict rules, she was allowed to enter the premises accompanied by a female staff member. More recently, in 2020, a group of female politicians visited Mount Athos as part of a delegation. They were granted permission to enter the monastery after signing a document agreeing to follow strict guidelines. These exceptions are rare and require special permission from the abbot of Mount Athos. In general, though, the ban on women remains in place. Today, Mount Athos is still a place where men are banned. While the reasons for the ban have evolved over time, the tradition continues to this day. For the monks who live here, it is a way of maintaining the sanctity of their monastery and allowing them to focus on their spiritual practices without distraction. For visitors, it is a reminder of the rich history and unique customs of this ancient institution. Whether you agree with the ban on women or not, there is no denying that Mount Athos is an extraordinary place. It is a place where men have been banned for 1,000 years and where time seems to have stood still. It is a place where ancient traditions are kept alive and where the echoes of history can still be heard. Thank you for joining us on this journey of discovery. We hope you learned something new and gained a deeper appreciation for the unique traditions and customs of Mount Athos. If you enjoyed this video, please don't hesitate to show your support. Your support means the world to us and motivates us to continue creating interesting and educational content. Thanks again for watching, and we look forward to seeing you in our next video. Until then, stay curious and keep exploring the world around you. Who knows? You never know what fascinating discoveries await you. Like, share, and subscribe.